So Bitcoin is down 2.5-ish% today, leading FANTOM to fall by 3.6% at the time of recording this video. We formed something in the charts which has me a little bit worried about more risk to the downside, which I have to show you from a technical perspective. We're also going to cover off some of the macroeconomic fears which continue to weigh on this market. I'm going to share with you what I'm doing, how I'm positioning myself to take advantage of the situation. So make sure you stay tuned till the very end. Make sure you hit the like button. You're subscribing. Can we get 150 likes on this video, guys? A lot of these crypto views and stock channel views have really plummeted, which just goes to show we had a bunch of tourists in this space that just jump in when things are hot. But that's good, because at least I know and I can see in the comments and by who's engaging with this video and in our Discord who is engaged, who was here when things got tough, who rolled up their sleeves, right? Really educating themselves and started making the moves which are going to pay off when Bitcoin runs up to all-time highs. Because trust me, it's going to come. I'm going to make a video on that day and we're going to watch that together and celebrate. But for now, we've got some work to do. We need to lay the groundwork so that we can enjoy those moments. And this is the perfect time for us to get to work. So make sure you're hitting up the like button, subscribing. Don't forget to support NordVPN, who've been kind enough to offer everybody 70% off of a 2-year plan. So get yourself set up on a VPN. Make sure you're protected. Make sure you're staying safe in crypto. Really important that you're staying safe. Really important that you have your IP masked and that you're covering all your privacy when playing around with crypto, when logging into your exchanges, when using your wallets, playing around with NFTs and Wi-Fi. Coupon code, oh man, check it out. Right, without further ado, let's get straight into the charts, because here we can see on FANTOM, we've got a really important pattern which I want to come on to. But very quickly, guys, remember, we're still following a market that is looking at Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has continued to show a little bit more weakness today. I mean, this hourly chart here sums it up. Perfectly sums it up. And let's just do a quick recap. If you haven't watched my full Bitcoin video, which I always do daily, go check that out. It was the video before this one. Go watch that video to get a detailed understanding of what's happening with Bitcoin. But in essence, what we've seen is we were having a good move to the upside. CPI sent us down. We then had this emergency FUD meeting around the Fed, which was an emergency meeting. We then had the escalation of the Ukraine-Russia tensions. Then we thought, okay, it's cooling off, right? Russia said they're sending their troops back away from the Ukrainian border. But then today we've come up with headlines saying the opposite. Because if you head over to the major news articles, we're seeing that the threat is still there and that the market is still trying to assess this threat, with NATO's latest spokesperson coming out and saying, no, what Putin is saying is not right. But Putin is saying, yes, we have moved troops, and there's even been Russian videos showing tanks moving. So all a bunch of a bit of pickle, a lot of uncertainty as far as we're concerned, not trying to get political with this. We just need to stay focused on what drives investments. And what drives investments right now is when you have lack of clear data, uncertainty creates volatility. And that is why you can see here, this is the VIX index. Again, we cover this index and why it's important in the video earlier if you missed that. But the VIX index is a very important indicator. We looked at the chart of the VIX and we can see volatility is spiking. And this normally, we predicted this. We said volatility between now and the 16th of March. Very important day, 16th of March. Note it down in your calendars, guys, is the FOMC meeting. That is when we're expecting our first increase in interest rates, and that is going to be an important one. Are we going to see 1 basis point? Are we going to see 0.5, or are we even going to see 0.25? We covered off in the video earlier how much is already priced in. Again, you've got to watch that video, guys. We can't be missing videos, and I also can't recap stuff because it's not fair to the people who are watching both videos for me to cover off the same stuff. So let's keep this strictly FANTOM. And what we can see here on FANTOM is if we look at the total value locked, interestingly, let's just come back out to compare the different chains. We can see a little bit of a dipping off here in FANTOM. Okay, so you can see over the day it's been fine. We've picked up 4.6%. But over the last 7 days, we've seen down in total value locked by 3.62. So we're now in 5th spot here, just below Avalanche. Remember, this is excluding Pool 2. And interestingly, we can look at the transactions, the daily transactions as well. And you can see here, the transactions did spike to a high of 1.8 million on September the 12th. 2021. And then we've seen that we came down. We had another spike here recently. Remember, that was to do with Andre Cronje and the solid swap snapshot that he was taking. And we expected, as I predicted, that TVL and transactions would start to fall post that, because some people were just locking in TVL to get the snapshot of the allocation. Okay, so there's a lot of games going on around there. But in the long run, net, it's good. And remember, my rationale for why that was good was Andre Cronje was very clever. He created almost a growth hack. And Anybody who's done any software development or marketing for a software company will know what growth hacking is. And growth hacking is how do you get people to use your software or app, or in this case, blockchain. And what Andre Cronje did was very clever. He got a bunch of people who had never been on FANTOM before to figure out how to use FANTOM, get set up, use FANTOM, interact with the UI, set up the wallets, and now they've used it. They will never look at Ethereum the same way, or Avalanche, or whatever other blockchains they were using, and they've set themselves up in the ecosystem. So chances of them coming back are very high, okay? This is why companies such as Coinbase or Binance, why do they always offer you an incentive for your first trade, right? They do that because once you trade your first amount or you deposit your first amount, you're statistically more likely to continue. And that was really clever by Andre Cronje. So in the long run, we're going to be fine. We expected this little bit of a fall off. If we look at the number of FANTOM unique addresses, still up and to the right. Nice, good growth here. This is takeoff, guys. This is nice and exponential, and we're sitting at 2.06 million unique addresses here on FANTOM. So really impressive here by FANTOM. Cannot complain with that growth whatsoever. Now, let's also take a look at a few other bits and pieces. Let's take a look at the fear and greed index. We can see that we're sitting at 51. Remember, it was at 46 yesterday. So again, just kind of the market's not super freaked out right now, but it's preparing itself for uncertainty. And uncertain times create for high price volatility, high wicks, changes of directions. And that is exactly what we're seeing here. So let's get into the FANTOM chart to take a look at exactly what we're seeing and what is worrying me. Because what's worrying me here on the 4-hourly chart, which is where we're at right now, is if you look at this first diagonal red line, we were following this downtrend, okay? Rejected, back up, rejected, again, and we ran along, okay? We then managed to get the breakout. Now remember, this obviously, all these patterns coincide with how Bitcoin was recovering as well. Now, when Bitcoin broke from its trend, FANTOM broke from its trend too. But it didn't do so with great strength. And remember, we entered this ascending wedge. Unfortunately, we broke to the downside of the wedge. Now, I completely understand. We can tie these technicals with the fundamentals like we always do. We know the CPI came out. We know the Ukraine-Russia FUD came out at the same time. And that led to a breakdown. But from a technical perspective, we were expecting a breakdown to the bottom anyway. So beautiful confluence where we marry up what the technicals are telling us. Oh, this is an ascending wedge, statistically more likely to break to the downside, and also tied in with the fundamentals of you saw what was happening with CPI. We saw what was happening with Russia and Ukraine. Okay, so we saw that come to the downside. And then what we saw is we created a bit of a double bottom here, but it was weak because the second bottom was lower than the first one. And then we went and created this kind of rounding off here at 208. Now, the worrying thing I'm seeing now is we've got rejected by this 208 level. If we zoom in, we've not managed to create a higher high. We needed to really start getting back up to levels at 228 at least, if not ideally all the way to the top here at 237. So this is showing quite a bit of weakness here on FANTOM, but overall, we know there's weakness across the market. This is not a FANTOM issue. This is an issue across the platforms, right? You can see here we've got Ethereum down 3%. You've got Cardano down 3%. You've got FANTOM down 3.3% at the time of recording. You've got Solana down 6%. You've got Cadena down 8%. You've got VeChain down 3%. So the market is taking a little bit of a beating right now. Let's take a look at Matic down 5%. You've got DOT down 4%. Link down 3.69%. So it's not just FANTOM, but what I'm showing you here is we've now managed to catch ourselves in another downtrend. So we've got resistance points here. Okay, you can see we've got another resistance point there. And then now we're getting another resistance point curling us over here. So what I'm looking for now is downside risk. And the downside risk I'm looking at is we've got a bit of support at 194. That would be the best scenario, right? Because then you get a bit of a mini head and shoulders here and we can start moving to the upside. That would be perfect, right? But other than that, we're looking at 179 and then 165. Now, for those to happen, obviously Bitcoin would have to continue to the downside. So from a macro perspective and looking at the fundamentals, we'd need some more FUD coming out, which we have a little bit of, right? So we're seeing that PPI data came out yesterday. We saw PPI sitting at, I think it was 9.7, which was very higher than expectations. We saw US retail sales come out, again, higher than expectations. I think it was 3.8% growth versus 2% expected, which is showing that the market is overheating. And remember, these are all data points that Jerome Powell and the Fed board members will take into their meeting and use to decide if they're going to increase interest rates and by how much. So these things matter, and these are further elements we need to prepare ourselves for. So what I'm preparing myself for is lower levels. Do we see 179? Do we see 165? If we do, I like these levels. Looking at the daily, let's take a look at the daily here. If we do get to 179, that brings me to my 200-day moving average again, okay? That'll bring us back there. Remember my rule? if we're touching this area, I like to buy on the 200 moving average. Okay, so based on my portfolio allocation, I won't make myself overweight, but I'll do the calculations. If I need some more, that's where I'll be looking to top up some more. Of course, even below there, if we do see 165, which again would mean Bitcoin's really struggling and creating lower lows, then again I'll be going in even heavier. Now, to the plus side, if Bitcoin can start getting itself moving, if we can have a few days of momentum and start moving to the upside, then we need to see us get through to 47,000. Here's the next level. So we need to get a good bounce, break through to 46, and then work our way back to the important level, which is 47,850. Okay, so these are all levels which we'll monitor as and when the time comes. But right now, just focusing on the hourly for Bitcoin, we've got some even more imminent important levels, and that is we've got rejected from the 44.5 level. So it's trying to pick up some support from 43.5. It needs to get itself back up, but not just back up. It needs to get up above it, retest, and move itself onwards. Okay, because it needs to start getting moving. Now, that's my view on a very short-term basis, guys. For a long-term basis, I continue to maintain that now is still a brilliant time for us to enter the market. Like I said, I never left the market, which is why it was super easy for me to continue to add to my position on pullbacks. If you were one of those people that sold, if you were one of those people that tried to time the market, or you're new to crypto and trying to build your portfolio, you've come at a great time, because Bitcoin any moment now can really start getting moving to the upside. Your downside risk is from 43,000 to 32,000 on Bitcoin, and therefore whatever the equivalent is for all your favorite altcoins. But the upside risk is that Bitcoin can really explode. And remember that elastic band. It can really elastic band all the way back up to 69, because that is proven territory. It's somewhere it's been. And then we can start thinking about new all-time highs and blue skies from their price discovery, right? So really interesting time. If you've not entered the market, you really need to start looking for those pullbacks. Please be very, very careful. Do not enter the market in lump sums. This is not financial advice, but entering in lump sums will get you liquidated. The number of long liquidations happening right now is quite high, because a lot of the shorts are waiting people to get desperate and enter the market. Above 40, like I said, once Bitcoin got above 40, we're seeing a lot of this cash that was waiting on the sidelines, waiting to pile in, okay? So we're seeing a lot of that money piling, and a lot of those people can get liquidated. So make sure you're waiting for pullbacks, nice retracements. For example, if we see FANTOM pulling back to 194, if we see it pull it back to 179, execute your positions in small sums, and then continue moving from there. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you appreciate this blend between technicals and fundamentals. As always, don't forget to check out the free public Discord server, link in the pinned comment below. As always, get yourself set up on a VPN, guys. NordVPN, 70% off. That's $2 or $3 a month to get yourself set up on a VPN. Absolute no-brainer. If you're trading any serious money in crypto, you wouldn't take the risk of not being set up on a VPN. I use one every single day. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.